Okay, so in this video, what we're going to do is basically use Python to help us get some more Instagram followers. So in effect, this bot is going to navigate to our profile. It's going to find our followers, make a list of them, and then incrementally go through each of our followers, get their followers, and follow them. So I know that sounds pretty difficult when I say it out loud, but basically it's going to get our friends' followers and follow them. Then when they see on their phone that they've got a notification that your account's followed them, they'll maybe click your profile. They'll see, oh, we have friends in common, because Instagram says, followed by, and then it'll say your friend's name. So they'll have mutual friends and people will typically follow you back. But this is a quick way and a little bit of a cheeky way to get more followers on Instagram. So you'll notice here I've already written some of the code, and that's because I've already written this for the previous video I uploaded to this channel. So I made a video just before this one about how to like photos with Instagram, which again is another sneaky way of getting more followers. So if you want an explanation for what this code does, you can go to that video and I'll break it down more. It's exactly the same code. This part here, the credentials part, you don't need this. This is something that I've created so that I don't have to put my Instagram password on the internet. For obvious reasons, not the best idea. But now we're going to create a class. So it's the Instagram bot class, and basically all you need to know is I've made one function already that will log us into Instagram using our username and password. That's all you need to know. So the next line of code that we need to write is we can come outside of this login function. So after we've logged in, what do we want to do? Probably we need to find a list of my followers. So I'm going to create a function called find my followers, which is pretty appropriately titled, and then I'm going to include self. And what this is that's going to just include our username and password and things like that we've included previous, that we will need in this function. But we're also going to include a variable called number of followers. And this is going to become apparent later what this is, but all this is going to be is when you call this function, you're going to say how many of your followers do you want to capture. This will make more sense later. Now I'm going to say bot equals self.bot, and this is just going to mean that we can access Selenium using the bot variable. And now I'm going to go to bot.get, which is going to load a URL, and then the URL we're going to pass in is the URL of my actual Instagram or your actual Instagram. So we're going to say https/ and then we're going to append plus self.username. And this is just going to pass in our username. So this is going to go to our profile, basically. This is the first step in gaining the usernames of our followers. Next, we're going to say time.sleep2. So this is going to mean wait 2 seconds after so that the page can load. Obviously, we don't want to run anything immediately after because the page hasn't loaded yet. So now that the page is loaded, I'm going to say bot.find element by XPath. And then I'm going to pass in a bit of a weird string, but all you need to know is this is going to find the button on our Instagram that will bring up our followers. So I will type in //a. So we're looking for A tags with the href, which is the location, needs to link to the following. Then append on /followers/ and basically you don't need to know what this does. All you need to know is this is going to click on this right now. This is going to find the button that will open up the drop down box that will list our followers, and now we're going to click it. So what this is going to do is go to our profile, wait 2 seconds for it to load, then click on our followers, and this is going to bring up a list of our followers. And now again we're going to sleep for 1 second, and this is just so that obviously it has some time to load our followers up. And then now I'm going to create a variable called popup, and this set is equal to bot.find element by class name, and then this is going to be the class name for the drop down box. And the reason we need to get the drop down box is because we need to scroll, because it only loads maybe 10 or 15 of our followers by default, and then when you scroll to the bottom of the drop down it will load some more. So we're going to get the drop down so that we can manually make it scroll through to load more followers so that we can collect them all. Now we're going to create an array, and that's going to be called followers array, which is pretty appropriately titled, and set this equal to just an array. And then we're going to create a variable called I and set it equals to 1. And the followers array basically is going to be used to hold the names and usernames of all of our followers that we're going to collect in a second. And now I'm going to create a while loop and say while the length of followers array is smaller or equal to the number of followers that we want to collect. So this is a bit of a cheeky way of doing this. We're going to actually run some JavaScript inside of Python, and I'm going to copy and paste the line in for you so you don't have to watch me write it. But basically it's bot.execute script, which is execute a JavaScript script, and it's going to say get the scroll top and equal to the scroll height. So basically scroll down on the pop-up variable, which we know is equal to the pop-up. This is going to make the pop-up box with our followers scroll down, which obviously in turn will load more followers. Then we want to say time.sleep 0.4 seconds. So for 400 milliseconds, wait for the rest of the followers to load and then do it again. And now we're going to set followers equal to bot.find element by class name. And then the class name for this is this. And this is basically going to get each individual row of followers, and this is going to be an array. And then now we're going to loop through them. So for each follower in followers, we want to do something. Now I'm going to say followers array dot append follower dot text. What this is going to do basically is it's going to go through each of our followers and it's going to get their name. So we want the username of each of our followers, but we're going to wrap this in another function. So obviously we don't want to add the same follower twice into the same array because that's just pointless. So we're going to say if follower not in followers array, and that's the good thing about Python. It's basically English. So if the follower that we're currently on isn't in our array, so if we don't know about this follower yet, then add it to the array. And if it is, obviously we don't want to add it to the array. There's no point. And then at the bottom down here, we can say I plus equals 1. So that's going to increment our counter. So now we need to make our followers array universally accessible. So the way we're going to do that is say self.followers equals followers array. And now what we're going to do is I'll save this and we can run it. So at the bottom of this, we need to call the function, obviously. So what we're going to do is say make a variable at the bottom called insta, and set it equal to Instagram bot, and then we're going to pass in some variables. So I'm going to pass in my Instagram username. That's my Instagram username, follow it. And then I'm going to pass in my password. So you'll type your password in like that, but because like I said, I don't want to type that in for the internet, I'm going to say credentials dot login password, and that's basically going to be exactly the same as you typing in your password. The next thing I want to do is, after I've initialized this, is type insta.login and then insta dot find my followers. Yeah, and then I'm going to say 5. I want to find 5 of my followers in an array. And then up here on the find my followers, I will, at the end of our while loop, I will print out a list. So print a list of the followers array so that we can see it in the console. So we've saved this, and then I will run it. Okay, and we can see that if follower not I followers array, we've got an error on line 57. I obviously meant to type in followers array. That was my bad. If you caught that, leave a comment. And then we can run it now. I need to wrap this in quotation marks. Again, this is just trial and error. We can run this back. Open up Firefox. Go to Instagram's login page, put our credentials in, wait, then navigate to our profile, click on our followers, scroll down, and in the background it's collecting them. So it's collected as many as we asked it to, and then you can see here, obviously, here's a list of our of some of my Instagram followers. It's put them in an array for us, and that's as far as we've got. We've now got a list of people that follow us, and now we can reach out to their followers, follow them, and hopefully get a follow back. And now we need to write a function appropriately titled find their followers. So we've got our followers names. Now we need to get the names of their followers and follow them. So I'm going to say def define follow their followers, and then I'm going to pass in a number. So I'm also going to pass in self, because obviously we want to access Selenium from in this as well. And then I'm going to say number to follow. Okay, now inside this we're going to say bot equals self.bot again, so we can access Selenium. And then we're going to create an array. So we're going to say for follower in self.followers, So this is basically saying for every follower that we've collected and put into an array, we want to do this. And now the first thing to do is load their profile. So we're going to say bot.get again, which is the same thing we used to load our profile earlier. And we're going to say https / and then we're going to append follower, which is going to be their username. Then we're going to sleep for 2 seconds while it loads the profile. And then the next thing we're going to do is we need to check if their account is private. Because if their account is private, we can't access their follower list because they're a private account. So the way we do this is like this. I'm going to copy and paste this in so you don't have to watch me type it out. And it's basically saying if there is an element on the page that says this account is private, which obviously is only visible on private accounts, then we know their account's private, so we can skip them. Okay, so now that we know their account is public, what we want to do is we want to find that same button again that we found earlier. See this button up here we found? We want to find the button that will open up their follower list. Bot.findElement by ID, and then instead of self.username, I'm going to write follower. And then we're going to click it. We're going to click it to load up their followers. And then time.sleep 3 seconds. Wait 3 seconds for it to load it up. And then now we need to find a list of all of the follow buttons. So it brings up, when we click on how many followers they have, it will bring up a list of their followers. Next to them will be a follow button, so I can click on all the follow buttons and follow their followers if I want to. So I want to say follow equals bot.findElements by X path again, and then I'm going to say / button. So we're looking for a button that contains text, and then the text we're looking for is follow. So that means basically we're looking for the follow button. Pretty straightforward. We're looking for every button that says follow, and now I'm going to set another incremental counter to I = 1, and now we're going to loop through the followers. So for follower in follow, so for each follow button we find, we want to click the follow button, but Instagram has one button that is the main follow button for their entire profile, so we don't want to click that because that will cause us to unfollow the person whose followers we're trying to get. So we need to say if I does not equal 1, because if it does equal 1, that's going to be the main unfollow button for their account, and we don't want to do that. We want to say bot.execute script, and again we're going to run some JavaScript to press the button. If we try to click the button with Python, the follow button, it won't allow us. It say that the element is obscured by another element. Instagram have worked out that people are going to do this, so they've tried to obscure it as best they can. So now what we're going to do is pass in arguments, and then 0, the first item in that, .click, and then for every item in follower. So basically what this is going to do is go through every single follow button and click it. That's all you need to know. And then if I is greater than the number of people that we wanted to follow, so we followed as many people as we said that we wanted to follow now, we can break out of this array. And then down at the bottom here we say I plus equals 1 to increment the counter. And that's basically it. So what we've done here is we've gone to our profile, we found a list of our followers, we've captured that list, and then we've incremented through each of our followers, finding their followers and following them. Hope that makes sense. It's a lot of follows and following. So all we need to do at the bottom now is add our newest function, insta.follow their followers, and follow 10 of their followers basically. Now we can save that, and then I'm going to run this again. Okay, so again, you might have noticed this before I did. I was a little bit focused on other things, but I've put all of this code, I need to take it back one notch, because right now, basically this code is all running if their account is private, but we've also put continue before it, so this code was never running. So now if I save this again, and then run this again, and now this code should run. That was just my mistake, and obviously you're probably pulling your hair out if you noticed this before I did. Open up Firefox, navigate to Instagram's login page, enter the credentials that we give it before, so your username and password, and click the login button. Wait a couple of seconds and then navigate to our profile. Click on this followers button up here, get the name of a couple of our followers. Then we're going to navigate to their profiles, click on their followers button, and then follow some of them. So you can see here really quickly, it's pressing the button, redirecting to the next person's profile. Click on their followers, then it's going to follow a set amount of their followers, and then redirect. do the same thing over and over again as many times as we'd asked. I'm going to stop it there because I don't, want to actually follow these people. But basically that's it. That's how you can create with Python a relatively simple bot that will like the followers of your followers. It will follow them and then get them to come to your profile and follow you back. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it made sense, and I know that I've got a habit of speaking quite fast as well. So I hope you understood it, and thanks for watching this video. Leave some suggestions for future videos I could make. This was actually suggested by someone else. I'll put them on the screen now. And thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you back on the channel again for the next one.